Hello and a very warm welcome to a brand new edition of Verdict 2015 with me, Frank Pereira, right here on Rajya Sabha Television. Here are today's Verdict 2015 headlines. Preparations in place for second phase of polling in Bihar on Friday. Paramilitary forces, aerial and video surveillances to ensure free and fair polls. Second phase touted as the toughest phase in the elections, maximum candidates with criminal track record in the fray. In focus today is Arwal district, where caste politics has taken precedence over development for decades in every election season. And we throw the spotlight on the bachelor's village in Kaimur, where lack of development has meant that many men remain unmarried. Well, preparations are in place for the second phase of polling in Bihar on Friday. Apart from ensuring a free and fair election, the Election Commission is also engaged in educating people on the need to exercise their franchise. Pranav Goswami with this report.
Campaigning for the second phase of elections in Bihar ended on Wednesday evening. Tight security arrangements have been made for the second phase of elections to be held on October 16. Like in phase 1, paramilitary forces will man the polling booths across the state. The responsibility of patrolling has been given to the local police. There will be aerial surveillance of sensitive polling stations. Drones will also be used to keep vigil. There will be video surveillance at polling booths, and flying squad teams will be in place if complaints are received. Landmine protection vehicles will march in Naxal-affected areas. 20 companies of the paramilitary forces will be engaged in road opening work.
बहुत बड़ी संख्या में पैरामिलिट्री फोर्स आ रही है जो प्रत्येक मतदान केंद्र पर रहेगी, ताकि लोगों को सुरक्षित होने का एहसास हो सके और एक कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्डिंग मेजर हो सके। हमारा जिला नक्सल अफेक्टेड भी है, उसके लिए भी हम लोगों ने पूरी तैयारियां की है। क्योंकि नक्सल अफेक्टेड होने के कारण कई प्रकार के नए सिक्योरिटी कंसर्न्स रहते हैं, तो उन सभी को हम लोगों ने एड्रेस करने की कोशिश की है, लेकिन फिर भी पूरी अलर्टनेस है ताकि किसी प्रकार की दुर्घटना ना हो।
Voting will take place in 6 districts in the second phase. 32 seats in these 6 districts will go to the polls. 458 candidates are in the fray. Voting will be held in Gaya, Rohtash, Arwal, Kaimur, Jahanabad and Aurangabad. Voting percentage during the previous elections in these districts was low. The Election Commission has initiated several programs to educate voters here on the need to exercise their franchise. Religious organizations have also appealed to people to exercise their rights. The voting percentage in the first phase of elections was 2% more than the last time, but that figure was still less than expected. There is hope that better security and awareness about the need to vote will positively impact voter turnout in the second phase. Pranav Goswami's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, joining me for a chat this afternoon to talk about this is Dr. Shakil, political analyst, joining me from Bihar. Very good afternoon, Dr. Shakil, and thank you for joining me on the program. You know, as far as the second phase of polling is concerned, how do you think it's going to be different from the first phase of polling? Are the Maoists going to really, cause a threat in this phase?
This is by the fact that majority of the seats out of these 32 seats are moderately to severely risk rated constituencies. That's why you can see in about 1/3 of the constituencies the polling will be over by 3 p.m. and another 1/3 by 4 p.m. not going usually. So yes, the concern of the Maoists threatening the election processes is one major concern. During the run-up to the election, few landmines have also been detected, and in some parts of the hilly areas which constitute the electoral spread in second round, there are many constituencies have been shifted, especially in Kaimur area, in Kaimur Hills. Now the percentage of the votes is going to be far less, because people have to travel one full day. They have to, it's about 20-25 kilometers from their area of settlement. So, of course, there are only few such constituencies, but it's very unlikely that people will make it, because in order to cast their vote, they have to almost one day for coming, then one day for polling, and then one day for going. So nobody wants to leave his earning for 3 days for casting a vote. So that is an issue which Election Commission should have looked into, but that's how the things stand. This is one of the worst affected area in Bihar as far as left extremism is concerned.
But as far as the left extremism is concerned, its powers too have dwindled over the last 2 decades or so. And hence, they are trying to be relevant this time around, and they've already come out and, made some boycott calls as far as the polls is concerned. But how much of a threat really are they on the ground, and can the paramilitary forces really negate that threat?
When you see that over a period of last few years, their sway on the local community and their grip on the local community has gone down as far as Maoists are concerned. And some development work done by the governments and the roads and the connectivity, these things have helped in bringing the administration closer to the people. Earlier there were areas where no governance was there. It was only the Maoists who ran the government in those areas. Still there are few pockets where the Maoists call the shots. But on the ground there is a due to first the difficult terrain, the movement of voters from there becomes difficult. The timing of polling is reduced, so that also affects the polling. And thirdly, the threat of Maoists remains. I mean, they want to prove that they are still relevant,
right.
And the best way they can do is to indulge into silence.
All right, Dr. Shakeel, do stay with us. I'm going to come back to you later on in the program as well to talk about another story that we're tracking here on the bulletin. Now, the second round of voting in Bihar will hold considerable interest for parties and observers alike. For this is the stage that not only has the maximum number of well-known candidates, but also the most number with a criminal past.
A lot will be riding for political parties when the 32 second phase constituencies go to polls on Friday. For it's this phase that has the most influential leaders. 1/3 of them are facing criminal cases, while 1/4 have assets worth over 1 crore. And combined with the fierce caste politics, both factors bring up a volatile mix.
दबंगों को चाहते हैं, जानबूझ करके टिकट देते हैं। उसका मुख्य कारण है कि उनके लोग गांव में फैले हुए होते हैं और उनके मन मुताबिक जब चाहते हैं राजनीतिक रोटी को पकाते हैं या फेंकते हैं।
In all, 456 candidates are contesting elections from the second phase districts of Jehanabad, Gaya, Arwal, Rohtas, Kaimur and Aurangabad. 142 face criminal cases, 110 have very serious criminal cases. The BJP has 6 candidates with criminal cases. The Janata Dal United has 5 and Lalu Prasad's Rashtriya Janata Dal has 9. 106 candidates own assets worth 1 crore rupees each. All the districts have a strong Maoist presence. Upper and lower caste clashes are also quite common. The Election Commission is being extra vigilant to ensure peaceful voting.
अब तक लगभग 2500 लोगों को हम लोगों ने सीआरपीसी के तहत बाउंड डाउन किया है। 51 लोगों को या तो थाना पे हाजिरी बना रहे हैं या उन्हें जिले से बाहर भेजा गया है। वारंट एग्जीक्यूशन में बहुत काम हुआ है। उसमें लाल वारंटी जो नक्सल केस में जिन पर केस होता है उसमें से 25 से ज्यादा लोगों को हाल फिलहाल गिरफ्तार किया गया है। हम लोगों ने प्रत्येक बूथ पर ऐसे मतदाता उनके आसपास के टोले में जिनको कि डराया धमकाया जा सकता है उनका बाकायदा नाम, मोबाइल नंबर, हर एक चीज चिन्हित करके रखा हुआ है।
Notwithstanding the focus on development, results of the second phase will indicate the hold of caste, power and money have on the state politics. Pranav Goswami's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Dr. Shakeel, coming back to you now, that's interesting, isn't it? An interesting fact there where some of the biggest names are, in the fray as far as this phase of polling is concerned. Also, highest number of, candidates with criminal past as well.
Yes, I mean, both in terms of the importance of the candidates, you have one ex-chief minister, one speaker, and at least 2 chief ministerial prospects, and then their families. All of these are in this round only. So people are watching very closely the trend in this round of election. And when it coming to the criminal past of the candidates, now it seems that even the voters are not taking into any consideration of the criminal background of the candidate, at least not in this part of the country, either in Bihar or in Uttar Pradesh. I mean, you see lots of candidates with serious charges filed against them, and they are still contesting the election, and not only contesting the elections, but also winning the elections. And if they are not winning it only one time, they are winning it for repeated number of times. So that is an area where all political parties and the election commission and the people at large will have to think about and find out the ways how far the entry of criminals into electoral politics can be stopped.
That's interesting. You're saying, that the criminal past as well as corruption is not as big as a factor as some of the other issues like caste and, for that matter, even development. So during the second phase of polling, what do you believe would be the three most important factors?
For this round of election, caste will remain the primary factor. I mean, that is how this entire electioneering, thanks to both the major alliances who are vying for the power, they have made through their own campaigning caste the most important and crucial factor of the election. Thematic of the caste, the chemistry of the caste, and so on and so forth. In the central Bihar of these 6 districts, the development will be an issue, especially the agriculture, because this is an area where the irrigation system is very weak. We have a drought for 2-3 consecutive years. So the low yield and these issues are very important. And not to forget that these are the areas which are with some of the states, and the migration is also very high. So employment will remain another very important, crucial issue for the electorates, especially the youths who constitute about 54-55% of the voters.
In the first phase of polling, we saw a considerable, rather large chunk of women coming out and voting. Almost 60% of those who voted were women voters. Of course, this time around too, do we expect a high voter turnout as far as women are concerned?
Yes, I mean, for the last 2-3 elections, as against the previous graph of the women's participation, we are seeing an assertion among the women voters. It peaked in 2010 when the then Chief Minister, Mr. Nitish Kumar, had announced 50% reservation of women in the Panchayati Raj elections, followed by that famous Poshak and cycle for the going to the high school. This time around also, if you see, and possibly it bodes well for the Grand Alliance, that they have assured that if they will come to power, they will provide 35% reservation to women in jobs in the state government.
Right.
To many of us, it seems that that is attracting women in large number to come and vote.
All right, Dr. Shakil, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us on the program and putting things into perspective for us. Moving on now, Patna airport authorities have removed banners and posters of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and BJP President Amit Shah after orders from the Election Commission. On Wednesday, the Grand Alliance, in its complaint to the Election Commission, had said that the posters were a blatant violation of norms. A Grand Alliance delegation met the Chief Election Commissioner, giving details of such posters and banners carrying the pictures of BJP leaders and its election symbol at the airport. The leaders demanded that in the interest of free and fair elections, the Election Commission should direct immediate removal of all the banners installed within the airport or being displayed at public places without the approval of the Election Commission. It's time for a short break now, but much more lined up for you on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This is National Police Academy, the country's very exclusive training center for IPS officers. Located at Hyderabad, Police Academy is unique in more than one ways. Watch Making of IPS only on Rajya Sabha television.
From cowries to metal pieces, Indian currency has seen many changes. The earliest punch-marked coins came from Gandhar. The East India Company at the turn of the 19th century also minted its own coins. The Indo-Greek coins come from a colony left behind by Alexander. They depict the golden rule of the Guptas, with embossed human portraits and matrimonial alliances like Chandragupta Maurya's wedding with Seleucus I Nicator's daughter.
Hottest topics.
If you can facilitate the opening up and the expansion of the international border trade, you can add to the economy.
370 धारा जो है वो जम्मू कश्मीर को मुल्क के साथ जोड़े रखती है.
Candid confessions.
The Congress has not been able to communicate.
We have to revive our links with the masses.
World-class healthcare is available to only a handful of people in this country.
Causing controversies.
A lot of leaders today think that they rule by divine right.
Now, media has become manageable.
Watch RSTV engage personalities to the point. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m., Thursday, 1:30 and 5:30 p.m.
Tales that inspire, stories of social change. A salute to diversity, promoting public discourse. Events that motivate, inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries every Friday at 10:30 p.m., Saturday 12:30 p.m. and Sunday at 1 p.m.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, our focus today is Arwal district, where there is a long history of caste politics. The fight between the Naxals and the Ranveer Sena has long held a development issue in the district to ransom every election season. Here's more.
Arwal is an extremely backward district in central Bihar. Lakshmanpur Bath is a village in the district where caste differences run so deep that it has become the identity of the place. In December 1997, 59 Dalits were killed here, including 27 women and 16 children. This memorial is a reminder of that bloody episode in the history of this village. The Ranveer Sena that came into being as the representatives of the Bhumihar community accused Dalits of being Naxal sympathizers. A wave of the Sena's attacks on Dalits began that was met with attacks by Naxals on the upper castes. The caste fight has taken such an ugly turn that development has become the casualty here. Dalits in Lakshmanpur accuse successive governments of mere lip service to their plight. They accuse politicians of playing caste politics at the cost of development.
कुछ नहीं दिया, नहीं पूछ-पाछ नहीं किया, खोज खबर कुछ नहीं किया, तो हम लोग कैसे जिएंगे? तो कैसे वोट देंगे हम? सरकार के कैसे जिताएंगे हम लोग? बताइए।
नेता तो कहते हैं कि बना देंगे, जिता दे रहा है, अपना पेट भर रहा है, गरीब के देख रहा है कि भूखे मर रहा है कि क्या हो रहा है.
Maoist groups became violent in Arwal, accusing upper castes of suppressing rights of the Dalits. On the other hand, in 1994, Brahmeshwar Singh, a leader of the Bhumihar community, formed the Ranveer Sena and began targeting Naxals. A wave of Dalit massacres followed. Among them were 1997, when 59 Dalits were massacred in Lakshmanpur Bath village. 1997 again, when 8 Dalits were killed in Jahanabad. And 1998, when 23 Dalits were killed in Shankar Bigha in Jahanabad. Maoists also targeted upper castes in Jahanabad, Gaya and Arwal. The history of violence has meant that elections are still fought on caste lines here. The area still does not have basic amenities like education, health or irrigation. Needless to say, unemployment is a big issue here. While people suffer, political parties accuse one another of playing caste politics. There are 2 assembly seats in Arwal district. The BJP-JDU combined won both seats during the last elections. The political equations have changed this time around. But Arwal's caste politics and its fate on the development index remains unchanged. Pranav Goswami's report from Arwal for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, elections come and go, but for Sasaram, the administrative headquarters of Rohtas district, one key issue remains perennially unresolved. Durgavati Reservoir was the dream project of Dalit leader Jagjeevan Ram. Even 4 decades after he laid its foundation stone in 1976, it remains only partially complete.
The road to Sasaram passes through the Durgavati Reservoir project. Former Bihar Chief Minister Jitan Ram Manjhi inaugurated it in October last year. But so far, the project that was meant to supply water to over 300 villages waters only 30 villages. Its budget, on the other hand, has shot up from 23.5 crore rupees to 1,064 crore rupees. When completed, the reservoir will provide water to 33,467 hectares, besides benefiting thousands of farmers living in Rohtas and Kaimur districts.
केवल राजनीति की रोटियां सेंक रहे हैं इस पर लोग कहते हैं कि हमारा सरकार बनाइए हम बनवा देंगे हमारा सरकार बनाइए सबको देखते देखते नतीजा हुआ कि 40 वर्ष लग गया इस पर कारण नहीं है लोग इंतजार में हैं कि कब पानी मिले कब हमारा पेट भरे कब हम लोग सुखी संपन्न ये 40 वर्षों से लोग झेल रहा है ये
Although a major portion of the work was completed by 2005, the project could not be commissioned because of forest protection violations. Work resumed in April 2012 after clearance from Environment Ministry and the Supreme Court. The delay in completion has only compounded worries.
पॉलिटिकल अपने अपने फायदा नजर आने लगे लोगों को उसमें ये उलझा रहा ये 5 साल में कंप्लीट हो जाना था 1976 में ये इसका शिलान्यास हुआ था और 5 साल में एक टारगेट था कि 5 साल में ये बन जाना है लेकिन बहुत सारे अड़चने आती रहीं और ये हर चुनाव में इशू बनता रहा और आज भी जो है वो उद्घाटन हुआ उद्घाटन बनने के बाद भी आज पानी नहीं मिल पा रहा क्योंकि नहरों की खुदाई नहीं हो पाई है और नहर की खुदाई नहीं हो पाई है तो खेत में पानी नहीं पहुंच रहा है
In 2014, the reservoir was at the centre of a political slugfest. The BJP took pot shots at former Lok Sabha Speaker Meera Kumar for not getting it completed. The Congress blamed the state government.
अभी तक पूर्ण रूप से तैयार नहीं हुआ है हालांकि अब तेजी से काम लगा हुआ है यदि हमारी सरकार बन जाएगी तो उसमें जितना जल्दी हो सकेगा इसका हम निर्माण करा देंगे पूर्ण करा देंगे
कांग्रेस का प्रत्याशी वहां से लड़ रहा है महागठबंधन की तरफ से वो विधानसभा में जाने के बाद ये इंश्योर करेगा कि विद इन 6 मंथ विस्थापितों की समस्या और प्लस जो अदर माइनर्स हैं जिसमें कि पानी छोड़ा जाना है वो पानी निश्चित रूप से विद इन 6 मंथ चला जाए
Once known as the rice bowl of the state, the region has the potential to feed the entire state if it is ensured adequate irrigation. And in these elections, farmers of Rohtas district are determined to secure just that.
Opinions are divided as to who should get the credit for this project. But there is unanimity among the locals that the Durgavati Reservoir project should not remain in limbo until the next assembly elections due in year 2020. They just want this project to be completed whether NDA or Grand Alliance comes to power. Reporting from Rohtas with camera person Sudhanshu, I am Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
Moving on, now a remote village in the heart of the Kaimur Hills in Bihar is home to some 80 bachelors. The men who are between the ages of 21 and 80 are known locally as residents of the village of unmarried men. Let's find out why.
Year-old Mahesh is ready for marriage. In fact, his mother has been looking for a suitable match for the last 12 years. But all her efforts come to a dead end once prospective brides hear that they belong to Barwankala, a village that has no approach roads.
हमारे यहाँ से सड़क नहीं है और शादी करने के लिए कोई तैयार भी नहीं हो रहा है लड़की देने के लिए कोई भी तैयार नहीं है और यहाँ पे बिजली बत्ती नहीं है और पानी का सुविधा भी नहीं है, चापाकल भी नहीं है।
मेरा लड़का का शादी कैसे होई? माने कि रोड नहीं खे, या लाइन नहीं खे, या कोनो व्यवस्था नहीं खे, कैसे होई? हमने के लड़का कुंवार यहाँ से।
The villagers themselves built a road for half of the 4-mile hilly terrain, but that's not enough. Outsiders are scared of the Maoist militants who operate in the area. Amenities are few, hand water pumps don't work, the nearest hospital is 20 kilometers away. It's a hard life for women. In the 2010 elections, unmarried villagers were given hope that things will change enough to impact their marital status positively, promises that are being heard all over again in 2015. Besides the problems posed by the hilly terrain, since the area is within the wildlife protection zone, legal hurdles also stand in the way of construction projects. The villagers hope a new government would find a way to work around them.
For those of us living in urban centers, underdevelopment might just be another word, but it's the way of life here. Many villagers are actually sneaking into other villages and pretending to live there just to get married. Eclipsed by political apathy, we just hope elections 2015 bring good tidings for these villagers. Reporting from Kaimur, with camera person Sudhanshu, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, that's it on this edition of Verdict 2015. Have a good day.